King Henry VIII had 4 butt-wiping servants called
Ew! He couldn't even wipe his own freaking butt?
Grooms of the Stool. For their services, all 4 were formally knighted.
They were knighted! I hope they got nicely compensated for wiping his butt. Hi YouTube, welcome back in hell. My name is Cypress, and today we will be watching 15 minutes of history facts you'll never need to know. And this video is by Chat History.
15 minutes of useless history. Wait, what? Poland had a bear soldier that served during World War II. His name was Wojtek, and he was a good boy. In 1386, France executed a pig that killed a child. He was arrested.
Imagine if you really killed him like that. No, but seriously, how did he kill the kid?
Faced trial and was hanged.
He faced trial?
During the Great Depression, people would often resort to using potato sacks as clothes.
That's sad.
Ancient Mayans worshipped turkeys, as they were seen as vessels for the gods.
This turkey scares me.
The 69th and 420th words of the Declaration of Independence are to and districts.
Okay, thank you for telling us that.
The Ford Motor Company was founded in 1903 and hasn't produced a good car since. It's said that in Ohio in 1895, only 2 cars existed across the entire cursed state.
Oh, only 2?
They crashed into each other.
How are you doing that? You're the only 2 cars, and somehow you still crash into each other. Only in Ohio.
Famous scientist Albert Einstein was once offered the presidency of Israel. He turned it down. The British Empire had around 120 colonies at its height in the 20th century. Robert Lincoln, son of U.S. President Abraham Lincoln, was present or nearby during 3 different presidential assassinations. Just a few blocks away from the Ford Theater when Papa Abraham caught a bullet in the back of his skull.
Oh, really?
He was an eyewitness to President Garfield's assassination and also experienced President McKinley getting absolutely cannoned in the chest. Afterward, little Bobby Lincoln refused any future invites to presidential events.
I mean, me too. I do feel like it's my fault or something. I'm like bad luck.
William Higginbotham, a physicist who worked on the atomic bomb, invented the first video game in 1958 using an oscilloscope. He called his creation Tennis for Two. It was a precursor to Pong. About 4% of the Normandy beaches are made up of leftover shrapnel from the D-Day invasions of World War II.
Wait, what?
The first European settlement in present-day Uruguay was formed in 1527. It was called San Lazaro and was, you guessed it, a Spanish settlement. Ancient Roman warships were equipped with huge flamethrowers.
Wait, did it actually look like a dragon? That is so cool.
They called it Greek fire, and boy was it effective. In the year 1204, Valdemar II of Denmark was recognized as king in Norway. Ketchup used to be sold as medicine in the 1830s.
Medicine? For what? What did they claim to cure?
George Washington died on December 14, 1799 at the age of 67. His last words were, "'Tis well." In ancient Greece, skirts were considered manly and pants were for women. Nothing like letting the boys breathe, you know?
I mean, that makes sense. The boys need to breathe. Yeah, this makes sense to me.
The record for the world's longest stare was set in 2011 in Australia. The loving glare lasted 41 minutes straight.
41 minutes?
0 minutes gay.
Monarch King Charles VI suffered from a psychological disorder called the glass delusion, where he was thoroughly convinced that his entire being was made out of glass.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And thus likely to shatter into pieces at the slightest poke. He wore clothes enforced with iron rods and prevented anyone from touching him. In 1633, the Shanxi province in Imperial China was ground zero to the Great Plague in the late Ming Dynasty. More than half of the population got sick that year, and over 90% of the province's population was dead 9 years later. The Roman Colosseum used to be covered in marble, but after Rome fell, the marble was looted by big titty goth pillagers. Ariana Trench was first discovered in 1875. It is measured at about 36,000 feet or 11,000 meters deep at its
Thank you so much for giving meters.
Dr. John Kellogg, creator of the famous cereal brand, invented cornflakes and graham crackers to prevent his patients from gooning.
Yeah, I heard about that. How is that supposed to help you from gooning? I'm confused. You believe the diet centered on bland foods like cereal would lead Americans away from sin. One very specific sin. Gooning. Okay.
The ancient African city of Timbuktu was founded in the 5th century. It served as a popular trade route for salt, gold, and people begrudgingly forced to work for free. During the 18th century in England, carrying around a pineapple was a telltale sign that you were rich as hell.
People would just like walk around with a pineapple in their hands.
Haters gonna hate, bro. The chainsaw was invented by medical doctors as a tool for symphysiotomy, a procedure for aiding in childbirth.
Oh yeah, that's horrifying.
There's an ancient text called the Voynich manuscript, handwritten in an unknown language that has never been deciphered. Wait, what's that say? Huh.
Subscribe!
Would you look at that?
Hey, but it has never been deciphered? That is so interesting. I hope one day someone will be able to decipher it.
Famous, silly named astronomer Galileo Galilei discovered the planet of Jupiter using a handheld telescope in 1610. So you know how the US government banned alcohol during the Prohibition in the 1920s and 1930s? Well, people still wanted to get absolutely slizzard, so they resorted to stealing and drinking industrial alcohol. You know, like rubbing alcohol used to treat wounds? Yeah, you're not supposed to drink that stuff because industrial alcohol is commonly denatured, meaning that toxic additives like kerosene or acetone are mixed in to prevent people from drinking it. What's fun is that this didn't really stop anyone from power chugging the stuff so they could feel all wavy and wiggly. The mass consumption resulted in the deaths of around 10,000 Americans. Cheers.
Just because you want I cannot believe this, man.
Most successful pirate in history was a woman. Qing Shi was the commander of the Chinese Red Flag Fleet, which consisted of over 300 warships and about 80,000 crew. Move over, Blackbeard. About 90% of the world's freshwater is frozen in Antarctica's ice shelves. Humanity's been trying to melt it out of there for ages. In 1998, over 1,200 human bones were found in Benjamin Franklin's house. They were used to study human anatomy.
So they say that, but it could be something else?
Picasso's first painting was called El Picador, which he created at just 8 years old.
Cute.
It sucked.
Ah, don't be so mean. He was just a kid.
I wrote most of this script on February 29th, 2024. Happy leap year. Pope Gregory IX declared war on cats. Roman Emperor Caligula declared war on the sea. Athletes in the ancient Olympics competed completely naked to show off the guns and show off the buns.
Oh, that must have been a great show.
Robot comes from the Czech word robota, meaning forced labor. The year 536 is commonly referred to as the worst year in history to be alive. A volcanic eruption in Europe farted out enough dust and debris to cause a multi-year winter.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that does sound like the worst year ever.
Sunlight dropped average global temperatures by several degrees, causing crop failure.
It deserved that title.
Oh yeah, and then the plague showed up. Napoleon's horse was named Marengo. Established in the year 930, Iceland has the oldest parliament in the world. The 13th Grand Duke of Lithuania was Jogaila Algirdaitis. He was also King of Poland. According to a 2021 census, 55% of Isle of Man residents identify as Christian. 44% aren't religious at all. Abraham Lincoln was a licensed bartender. The first capital of the ancient city of Assyria was Ashur. Now you can get across the Bridge of Death.
What is the capital of Assyria?
Ashur.
Right, off you go.
The very first known written language is Sumerian, with the earliest known usage dating back to 3100 BC in Mesopotamia. The German MG42 machine gun used in World War II has a firing rate of up to 1,500 rounds per minute with an effective range of up to 2,000 meters. In the Roman Empire, a triumvir monetalis was someone who minted coins. The Great Fire of London in 1666 started in a small bakery and quickly engulfed the majority of the city for 4 days.
Holy
Methods at the time were no more than buckets of water or destroying other buildings to stop the spread. In the end, 85% of the city's residents were now homeless. On the bright side,
that is so much. Oh my god.
6 people reportedly died, so there's a spark of positivity.
But that's only reportedly. You don't really know, right? That's just what has been reported.
The Ottoman Empire was founded in 1299 and fell in 1922. At the end of World War II, Russian citizens decided to party hard. So hard, in fact, that the entire country's vodka reserves were tapped out in just 22 hours. Nostrovia. In 1973, Chinese Supreme Communist overlord Mao Zedong offered the United States 10 million Chinese women. As a joke. Instead, he ended up killing 40 to 80 million people during his totalitarian dictatorship. It was supposed to be a great leap forward, Mao. A popular fad in the 1950s was phone booth stuffing, and just like my romantic endeavors,
why would you do this though?
Julius Caesar was stabbed 23 times.
Damn.
Rich people in 19th century Europe were in harsh competition for who could collect the most unique and rare orchids. Too bad none of them pulled a Black Lotus. Alexander the Great named over 20 cities after himself during his conquering of over 2 million square miles of land
really
by
loves
age
himself.
30. What have you done with your life? In 1953, U.S. President Dwight Dimmadome Eisenhower was lassoed by cowboy Marty Montana on horseback during his inauguration speech. Nintendo was founded in 1889 by Fusajiro Yamauchi to produce Hanafuda playing cards.
Oh yeah, I knew
Famed
about this.
philosopher Socrates didn't really like written words. He believed it was an inefficient way to communicate knowledge and that it would make people lazy and ruin their ability to use the power of memory to recall information.
He does have a point. Like now with Google, with the internet, it's even more like that.
Thus, people would rely on text to retrieve information instead of fully understanding concepts. As a result, the stubborn asshole never wrote anything down. J.R.R. Tolkien's full name was John Ronald Reuel Tolkien. You read the Harry Potter books, right? The Laotian Civil War lasted 16 years, 6 months, 1 week, and 2 days. Despite how old you think it was, the Aztec Empire was actually founded in 1428. King Henry VIII had 4 butt-wiping servants called
Ew! Couldn't even wipe his own freaking butt?
Rooms of the Stool. For their services,
Rooms of the
all 4
Stool.
were formally knighted.
They were knighted! I hope they got nicely compensated for wiping his butt.
The US Air Force had only 18 pilots and 12 airplanes. In ancient Asia, death by elephant was a popular execution method. Germany fully
God.
controlled 4 colonies during the scramble for Africa in the 1800s and 1900s. They included territories in modern-day Burundi, Cameroon, Namibia, Rwanda, Tanzania, and Togo. On average, Germany uncovers about 2,000 tons of unexploded bombs every year.
Holy shit.
The wealthy class in Victorian England loved making themselves as white as possible, so they would eat and bathe in arsenic to lighten their
Oh yes, arsenic. One of the best things to use for that. Obviously joking. YouTube, I'm joking.
version of the internet, called ARPANET, began as a connection between 2 computers in California in 1969. It eventually branched out to multiple computers for research purposes and information sharing, forming an intercommunication network, shortened to Internetwork, and shortened more to the internet. Nowadays, you can watch someone press their feet into a webcam halfway across the world for $3.99 an hour. Or so I've heard. China was actually the first country to use paper money all the way back in the 7th century because coins were just too dang heavy for merchants to lug around all the time. Roman gladiator blood was once used as a cure for epilepsy.
Blood? Oh my god.
Didn't work. Using forks to eat food used to be considered offensive to God since he gave you hands to eat with. In the 1856 Belgian general election, Catholics won the Chamber of Representatives 63-45 against the Liberal Party. The Secretary of the Navy during the United States Civil War was Gideon Wells. He had 8 children.
What was that? Wait, I feel like I'm missing something here. Am I supposed to know something about this guy?
Modern Olympic Games were held in Athens, Greece in 1896. The first silver medalist, gold medals didn't exist yet, was American James B. Connolly in the triple jump. Winston Churchill reportedly smoked up to 15 cigars a day.
Jesus.
Private George Price of the Canadian Army was the last casualty of World War I. On November 11th, 1918, he was hit in the chest by a sniper at 10:58 a.m. in Mons, Belgium, 2 minutes before the war officially ended. Sorry about that.
Jesus. Just
the
2
first
minutes
emperor
before.
of Japan was legendary Emperor Jimmu, a claimed descendant of the sun god Amaterasu, though there is no evidence that he actually existed. Robert Liston was a British surgeon in the 1800s famous for his swift surgeries. In a time where the best anesthetics were a shot of whiskey and a stick to bite on, speed was critical to minimize pain. During his most famous surgery, Liston set a leg amputation 80% record in just 2.5 minutes flat, severing the fingers of his assistant and accidentally stabbing a nearby spectator. All 3 men died. Basketball was invented in 1891 by Canadian-American physician James Naismith. You put ball in basket. Fun. During World War II, Americans called hamburgers Liberty Steaks and sauerkraut Liberty
Steaks.
Cabbage.
Liberty
The weather
Cabbage.
in Phoenix, Arizona in the US on April 20th, 1969 at around 5 p.m. was 90 degrees Fahrenheit with winds east-southeast at 8 miles per hour. The Lebanese city of Tyre was founded in 2750 BC. The first instance of income tax in the US started in 1861 to raise funds for the Civil War. Anyone making over $800, or the equivalent of $28,000 today, was taxed a flat rate of 3%. Marie Antoinette's music teacher was a German opera composer by the name of Christoph Willibald Gluck. The Legend of Zelda Ocarina of Time came out in November of 1998, and I'm still playing it.
Me too! I still need to finish it.
No witches were actually burned alive during the Salem witch trials. Instead, they were just hanged, which is quicker and doesn't smell as bad.
Bro.
In 1644, eating pie was banned in England. Meat pies, fruit pies,
Wait,
or rice
why?
pie, all of
What's
it.
wrong with pies? Wait, I need more explanation. Did you know that pie used to be illegal? In 1644, Oliver Cromwell banned pie as he decided it was a pagan form of pleasure. Oh wow, that's the reason? He said your wife's pie. Oh my god.
Prince Louis Rwagasore of Burundi is regarded as a national hero. He led a political resistance against Belgium and demanded independence from the colonizers. He was elected second prime minister of Burundi in 1961 and served his country for 2 weeks before he was assassinated by political opponents. Burundi was granted independence from Belgium a year later. The Kingdom of Karagwe in modern-day Tanzania was disestablished in 1963. Adolf Hitler helped design the Volkswagen Beetle. A carrier pigeon named Commando successfully carried out over 90 missions during World War II. He even got a medal.
Good job.
The
He
fifth leader of
deserves
the
that.
Soviet Union was Leonid Brezhnev, and the guy had eyebrows for days. The 27th state added to the US was Florida. Despite humans being around for over 200,000 years, written history is only 6,000 years old, so who knows what they did? Probably hucked rocks at each other. The Industrial Revolution in the US began in 1760 and lasted all the way until 1840. The popular game Jenga experienced a lull of sales in 2001 because Jenga towers weren't the only ones to fall that year.
Oh.
Silk was first used in clothing back in China in 3630 BC. Silky smooth. During the stock market crash of 1929, the Dow Jones Index, which tracks 30 of the biggest US companies, fell 89% when it bottomed summer of 1932. It took 22 years to get back to pre-crash heights. That's why I invest responsibly. All on red.
All on red. Hi, thank you so much for watching. If you liked it, please don't forget to give a like to the video and subscribe to my channel. I also stream live on Twitch and on YouTube, so follow me on Twitch or just turn on the notification bell on YouTube to know when I go live. I hope to see you there. Bye!